I am not going home this year for the holidays. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons is because I have had such a crazy life. I've had highs, lows, ups, downs. I've experienced so many things you would not even imagine. So, on that note, I just want to say that I do not even recognize the old me. Yet, strangely enough, the old me is who they recognize. And it's so hard because when I go back, I've got to be that person. And if I don't be that person, then I will get spoke to like I am still that person. And that's not me. And you know, it's strange because basically I come from a very small town. It's almost like a one-horse town. You could say that. Now, in this one-horse town, a lot of the people are very negative. And I think, you know, when you want to understand something, when you want to understand the fruits, you've got to look at the roots, right? I know it's not an excuse, but a lot of it is also down to the weather. The weather is so bad back where I come from. And when I say so bad, I mean like all weathers in one day. So unlike a lot of the world, you cannot even plan the day ahead, let alone the next day, let alone the next week or the next few weeks in advance, because you do not know what is going to happen. Everything is unpredictable. So the forecast is always wrong. I think a lot of the negativity actually stems from the weather. It's always cloudy. In fact, most days, almost every day, is like grey days. Grey, dull, depressing days. And I think that's where it comes from. I think that's where the attitude comes from. I think people are just unhappy. They're cold, they're tired, they feel unfulfilled. They don't have anything that makes them feel happy around them. And I think they just take it out on others. There's one thing that company loves, and that is negativity. If you've ever noticed, like when you're at work or you're amongst like a social gathering or colleagues, or even if you just listen and observe, people love negativity. It spreads so easy. People love it. And I guess it's all because they all want to vent off their own steam. So when you're from a place where the weather is so bad, makes you so negative, so depressed, and then when you start spreading that negativity to others, all of a sudden, after generations of this, it starts to affect them, and it's kind of passed down, you know. And the only way I can describe it is, in my town, most people do not leave. Even those who want to leave, they can't leave. And even if they try to leave, they end up staying for some reason, for some matter. I don't know what it is, but they just basically can never get out. It's so difficult to break free. Now, I've always known since I was 7 years old what my childhood dream was. And my childhood dream was to one day create a new life for myself, move abroad, leave the country, start afresh. And that is what I've finally done after the crazy roller coaster that I'm currently on and have been on. And it's just so nice to finally start seeing my rewards after all these years. And when I say rewards, I don't mean like everything's perfect, because like I say, I'm still on a roller coaster. But it's much better than my situation used to be. So when I go back, I'm reminded of the lifestyle. I'm reminded of the life I once had. I'm spoke to like I'm that old person. I start even fitting into the old ways. Because you know, before you know, when you're around those people, the same people are doing the same thing, talking about the same things, in the same place, at the same times, on the same days even. It's crazy. And that starts to rub off on you. And then before you know it, you're caught up in talking a certain way, acting a certain way, going to the wrong places, you know. And I just think that's not me. This is not me. This is not me. How did this happen? And it's just like some kind of vortex pulling you in. You know, when it's a small place, it's almost like you cannot escape that vortex pulling you in. So I just like to be happy. I like to keep away from all that negativity. I like to be positive. And at the same time, it's very strange because when you are there, people are jealous. And when I say jealous, I mean like dream killers. You know, dream killers are very real. Dream killers can come in all sizes, shapes, and forms. They can be your colleagues, they can be your friends, they can be your best friends, they can even be your family. And this is something that I really despise so much, especially like when you tell the people closest to you, like what your dreams are, what your ambitions are. And looking back in retrospect, that was a very bad thing to do. You see, the thing is, when you start telling people, or when you start even venting off what you want to do, subconsciously, the way the brain works, it somehow kind of rewards itself with some kind of dopamine. So it kind of like convinces you that you've actually achieved it before you've actually achieved it, when you haven't in reality. Looking back, that was a mistake I made, but it also taught me a valuable lesson that I would never have learned had I not vented off and spoke out. And that is that the people who you even think are close to you, who really want the best for you even, actually don't want the best for you. And you know, I put it down to, I think when somebody succeeds, or when somebody actually does as they are going to say, exactly as they plan, exactly as they promise, exactly as they said they would, just like myself, I think it makes a lot of people feel guilty for their own accomplishments. And when I say accomplishments, I mean they know deep down in the core that they could have done better, they could have done more. And when they see somebody else acting on what he said he would do, it makes them feel guilty because they wasted time. They didn't do nothing with their own life. So have you ever seen the short story of the monkeys and the ladder with the banana at the top of the ladder? Well, that's kind of like the small town I'm from. So there's a few monkeys in a room, and when a new monkey comes in, a monkey sees the banana at the top of the ladders. So he tries to go up the top of the ladders, and the other monkeys start abusing him, saying, no, you can't do that, we'll all get punished. The monkey's like, but I want the banana, it's easy, it's just there, I could just climb the ladders and get to it. And the other monkeys go crazy, and they start like pulling him back down the ladders, and they punish him. And eventually that monkey realizes, oh no, it's wrong to do that. It's wrong to go for your dream. It's wrong to go for your aim. It's wrong to go for your target even. So then when a new monkey is introduced again, what happens? The same thing is repeated again. The new monkey thinks, oh look, there's a banana, I can go get it. It's easy. There's even ladders. It's very simple. Tries to climb the ladders, what happens? All the monkeys, including the other monkey that got abused, now turns on that monkey and starts beating up that monkey too, pulling him down, abusing him, beating him up, making him question his own self for even having the audacity to even think that he could go get that banana. So that's how I feel in my town. Talent, dreams, ambitions, nothing is encouraged. It's not nurtured. It's not encouraged. It's not supported. It's actually ridiculed. It's actually attacked. People don't want to see this. And you know, the town I'm talking about is a beautiful, beautiful place. Just sadly, the mentality, not of all, but of many, many people, is just so negative. It's just so toxic. And I always knew, while I was stuck in that, what can you call it, in that splodge, what felt like quicksand, I just always knew, I gotta get out of here, I gotta get out of here, I gotta get out of here. This is not the right environment for me, I gotta get out. How do I do it? And especially when you're doing everything in your power for years and years and years and years and years, and all you come up to is closed doors. Just very discouraging. You know, talking about this brings back those memories. I feel like I'm back there in the moment. And really, it was just so bad, you know? It's just so bad. When I say, like, when you go back to town and the people are doing the same things, they're in the same place, talking about the same things at the same times, in the same clubs, bars, or wherever it may be, and you just think, wow, like, they did this like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they're still doing it on this exact day, at this exact time. That's insane. Even family gatherings, for that matter, are also very predictable. Like, for example, I remember the last time I went back home, and I hadn't been back home in about 4 years because of the COVID being abroad and stuff and the restrictions where I was. I went through the harshest COVID restrictions in the whole world. And I thought, oh, finally, you know, when I get back home, you know, everybody's going to have missed me. I've missed them so much. And, you know, when I arrived at the airport, like, half the people I expected to even come meet me didn't even come meet me. Like, that's insane. And I thought, like, straight away, I wasn't even going to ask, like, why, because I knew actions speak louder than words. And I just thought, that's insane. Like, all those years, all those days, all those hours, all those minutes that I thought about these particular people, these individuals. And then when I do arrive at the airport, after almost 2 days on multiple airplanes to get back, and half of them even turn up, and you just think, wow, well, that was quite disappointing. It's not really a good way to start off, going back to the place where you're originally from, is it? And then I should have known then, I should have known then. The signs were there then. And you just kind of ignore the signs because you want to see the best in every situation, right? So you just kind of ignore them. And you do go back, and then you go to like family gatherings, for example, and you kind of know what's going to happen before it even happens. Like, for years, when I thought about these certain gatherings with these certain individuals, I thought, what would they say? What would they do? And I almost word for word, in fact, I did word for word, could predict what they would say. And what do you know? When I went in and I'm around them, the exact individuals I knew turned around and they said the same BS. Word for word, the same stuff. And the stuff I'm talking about isn't just small talk, it's not like positivity. It's just negativity. And I knew what they would do. Like, they just try bring you down. Just try bring you down all the time. They will say things in a way where, like, they bring up your past. And it's just crazy because, like I mentioned, like, the person I am today is not the person I was then. In fact, I don't even recognize the person I used to be. That's how much I've changed. That's how much I've experienced since I was that person. So for them, just to cross paths with me for a moment in time and think that they know my entire life story and try, like, basically judge me based on one little moment that they've seen I experienced is insane, Like, they'll say something like, oh, I remember when you were a kid, oh, and I just think that's insane. Like, and it's like so negative as well, I'm like, do I look like a kid anymore? Like, that's insane. Like, they'll just talk about negative things, like, oh, you did this, you did that, oh, yeah, I remember this, And you just think, why does it always sound like the same broken record every time I see them? Like, surely they can be more creative, right? And think of something else to talk about. Not every time I see them, like, basically turn into a parrot. They will, like, try and make me feel guilty for when I was a kid. It's just so weird, It's like being in the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what's happening right now? Like, what's really happening? Where am I? What's happening? What is this? Like, I've actually got to listen to this, let alone engage. It's so weird, It's so weird. People, like, will actually think that they know me better than I know me. What's that all about? Come to think of it, I've realized the reason for that is because there's two different types of people in the world. There's people who will see you, who will hear about the things that you went through, all the adversity that you faced, that you recovered from, that you came back from even, and they will be inspired by it. And then there is the other type of person who will know all that, but they'll brush it all away because they want to see the bad in you. And they will just think, oh, I can no longer relate to this person. This person who he's become, they'll just see like the good things and they'll think, I can no longer relate to this person anymore. This is not for me. He's not for me anymore. I just love the life that I've built for myself. Like, literally, I created this with my own imagination, with my own dreams, with my own ambitions. It was me who had to go through all of that. Nobody else came to help me. Nobody else supported me. Nobody else was there for me. Do you know what I mean? I went through all this by myself. I created the life I've got today. And I just think, like, I remember all the people who were dream killers back then, who were always like giving me abuse, like who were always being negative, always being toxic, and I just never forget. I mean, I forgive, as they say, forgive. I do forgive, but I do not forget. And it's difficult when you go back to like a one-horse town and the population is very small and you see these people all the time, you cross paths with them and you just think, I never forgot what you did to me. I'll never forget it, And it just annoys you, because it's like, who is this? It's like going back in a time machine and you're not that person anymore, but they think you are. And it's just like, these people have no idea. They have no idea, really. They have no idea. So as much as I want to go back, of course, and see my loved ones and stuff, when I weigh it up, it has more negatives than positives. So sometimes I think maybe I should just like love them from a safe distance. Maybe that's better. Because when I do try go in person, I pay the price. And I think to myself, what an idiot. How did I fall for this again? Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And you know, if you're still watching this, if you think, what's he going on about? Like, what's this? I don't understand this. Then don't worry. Don't worry. That's fine. Because you're not supposed to understand this. This video is obviously not intended for you. But if you are relating to anything I've said, then if you are planning on getting away, or if you've already got away, or you're stuck between these two different worlds at the same time, you feel like your heart is in one place and your head is in another, then don't worry. Because when a man is a traveler, the world is his house and the sky is his roof. Where he hangs his hat is his home, and all the people are his family. So you must remember this. So for people who's watching this thinking, oh yeah, I can totally relate, I've got dream killers too. Well, you must be very, very careful, because you are walking a fine line. You've got to know how to identify and decipher the two different types of people from each other. For example, there is dream killers who would just love to see you fail, you know. They might pretend they are your friend. They might pretend you are a loved one. They really care about you. But really, deep down, they want to see you fail, like I've mentioned. But then there is the other type who are genuinely worried about you, because they have always stayed in one place the whole time. They've always had comfort. They've always lived in comfort. They've never took risks in their life. They've never attempted their dreams, their ambitions. They've never seen what the grass is like on the other side. That's why they say things like, the grass isn't always golden on the other side. That's because they've never even attempted to go to the other side before, you know? And they don't even realize that actually the grass could be golden. In fact, sometimes, most of the time, the grass is as beautiful as you want it to be, depending on how well you water it. So you've got to know that a lot of the time, a lot of these people actually genuinely do care about you, and that actually don't want to see you get hurt, or even worse, you know, by making the wrong decision. So sometimes it's also out of love too, but you've got to be able to decipher the two. And the only way you can do that is with experience, especially people skills, reading people. When you're good at reading people, you can kind of tell the intentions, you can feel the intentions, you can see it. You can see who is sincere, who's insincere. You can feel the toxicity of it all. So you've got to be very, very careful with that. Anyways, on that note, I just want to leave you with a Muhammad Ali quote. The man who views the world at 50 the same as he did at 30 has wasted 20 years of his life doing nothing. So just remember that, because a lot of these people who do think negative, act negative all the time, for example, if you do go back, a lot of them is because they still view the world the same way as they once did.